our Benin national anthem for anything. It's like
lead. Oye kene madoyo ogade umogiana tura togbege Ọbara tọpẹ́ iṣẹ́ ọbara tọpẹ́ iṣẹ́ ènìkà ọ̀yà wọ̀rọ̀ báwa o túra tọgbẹ́gẹ́
ọbara tọpẹ́
iṣẹ́. Okay, all right. We're about to start. I welcome all of you to today's World Press Conference. Yeah, just repeat.
No, you get at the end of the day now. Is it how you want to do?
Yeah, let them have it.
Your name to me, guy. On. Have you been?
Journalist first.
Okay. While all phones should be on vibration.
All phones on vibration or silent.
Or silent. All right. Can we start now, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. World Press Conference delivered this day on the 11th of June to experience these epoch-making events that brought together different socio-cultural groups in Benin Kingdom who got tired of decadence, also to tell the world that enough is enough of all intended atrocities that have been committed against the sanctity of our cultural existence, and to use the same avenue to chart a patriotic goal that will change our people for good. The great Benin people have lived in the concept of three fundamental elements: the throne, the king, and the people. And it is in this cycle of elements one of the greatest civilizations was built. Enemies understand these immortal elements of connection. Hence, they are poised in using the same knowledge to destroy our cultural existence. According to them, when you poison the people, they rebel against their king and therefore obliterate the throne. But they forget to understand that the throne is the people, only existing in other form of realm. When we kill the throne, we are inherently killing ourselves. However, Edo is insurmountable. As a result of this press conference, we are reaching out to the conscience of our people, most especially those in diaspora, to kindly retrace their steps. A son might have differences with his father, but his father remains his father. Oba is the father of every Edo man and woman, and he's willing to forgive those who have committed infraction against the throne. We should always remember the throne is us only existing in another realm. Whatever offense we commit against the throne, we inherently commit that same offense against our very self. Obaga Tokbe. The present-day Edo State government, in truth, ought to be the first ambassadors of Edo culture and heritage, and was supposed to work with the palace in a bid to push in the return of our stolen artifacts. Agreement was initially reached between the Benin royal family and Edo State government, only for Edo State government to breach that agreement, and ever since, the present governor of Edo State has been allegedly heard in several occasions that he will undermine the power of the Oba of Benin for an artifact that belongs to the Benin royal court. The present monarch has never at any period of time undermined the constitutional power of the governor, and he never will. Only that those who are drunk of power will want to undermine an institution that is thousands of years older than theirs. We will rather give our utmost patriotic and selfless loyalty to an institution that, by the mercies of God and our ancestors, is not time-bound. We will never support any government against our throne, because it is our duty as true patriotic Edo sons and daughters. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, let's now go straight to the cruise of today's press briefing, having given a background of what led to why we are all gathered here today: the sovereignty of the Benin throne. The Benin throne is the bulwark of our past, present, and future. It encapsulates the very self-consciousness of our race. It is a stream that our soul connects with. It is our rallying point as a people. Before the advent of modern politics, the king, Oba of Benin, was an absolute monarch. He was both a spiritual and political head, as well as the highest organ of justice in the kingdom. Even today, the king receives dozens of supplications from loyal subjects who still believe that the king's law is the only just law in the land. We are forced to ask, how come that an institution that has been dismissed elsewhere as anachronistic can be so vibrant in a modern 21st century federal republic with a written constitution? The secret is in the Benin monarchy itself. Why coming to terms with modernity, regulated by a constitution which is the highest law in the land? It has maintained its clarity of vision on responsibility from such a high moral and cultural pedestal that is visually unassailable. With the advent of modern politics and democratic rule, the political reformers, whether self-styled Democrats or progressives, have had concerted effort to store up a stock of contemporary political ammunition and unviable reforms to debase our cherished culture and tradition. Of course, there's nothing new in this picture, and certainly nothing unique to politics and democracy that we as a people have not witnessed since our independence in 1960. However, the insurmountable sovereignty of the Oba of Benin and his kingdom remains strong, and the unifying bond for the Benins and all. The Oba is the author and the preserver of the invaluable precepts and practices in the administration of his kingdom and people. Hence, the refusal of the state government to vividly state it clearly that the Ogiamien title is only recognizable by the Oba of Benin as a chieftaincy title under the leadership of the Benin Traditional Council, as stated in the 1979 Gazette of Traditional Rulers and Chiefs Edicts. These misguided Ogiamien bandwagons has continually falsely claimed that according to degree number 37 of 1968 Chieftaincy Order, that Ogiamien is recognized as a traditional ruler. A closer look at the said Okay, sorry. A closer look at the said degree stated otherwise and rather referred to Ogiamien as a chieftaincy title, thereby invalidating their claims. At this junction, we would like to provide an archival material preceding 1968. We have a letter that was addressed to Oba Akenzwa II by Chief Edo, who was the then Chief Ogiamien of Benin Kingdom, on the 9th of August, 1939, begging to be recognized as the chief, like several chiefs in Benin Kingdom. May I crave the indulgence of this press to read out that letter? Ogiamien Quarters, Benin City, Wednesday 9th of August, 1939. Omonoba Nedo, Akenzwa II, Ukwa of Benin, Egwoba, Plymouth Road, Benin City. Copy, the district officer, Benin City, and the resident, Benin Province, Benin City. Garaomo. Chief Edo de Ogiamien of Benin, appeal form. I humbly submit this appeal not with the intent to obstruct the plan of the government or either take pride over the Omonoba, or do I concede on this occasion, but honestly craving for indulgence of recognizance and the distinct chieftaincy amongst the Benin chiefs. May the Omonoba live long and myself live long, his faithful and loyal subject. I am not with these raising heel against the present Omonoba of Benin, nor would I, nor my descendant, nor any member of my house raise heel against the Oba presently and futurally. I will be a loyal subject of the Oba of Benin until my life's end. But only one thing, I humbly claim certain recognizance of myself and my descendant or every head of my family. In the support of this, my claim, I hope the Oba gratefully do justice to my request, and in support of myself, as I have previously said, that by virtue of my birth and history, I need certain recognition for mercy's sake. I refer the Omonoba and the residents of the letter paragraph of page 9, 10, 11, 15, and 16 of a short history of Benin by Chief Jacob Wade Ararewa, the Oba Hawaii Benin, a member of the Royal Society of the House of Iwebo. Point number 7, my ancient people are unsatisfactory with my ruling. Therefore, I am ejected, rejected, and neglected. But my people, and now I am craving through the Omonoba for recognition. I may not be considered worthy of this post, as my ancient people really degraded me, but may it please the Omonoba to gratefully consider my condition and not suffer me and my house to remain in a state of penury. Should the Omonoba consider me worthy of the Oba's recognition and the honor conferred on me, may I beg the Omonoba for primacy of this recognition in my house. The history has supported my claim, and I leave everything to the mercy of the Omonoba Akenzwa II, who has the interests of his people at heart. Omonoba knows best. Oba Latokbeye. I remain your most obedient and faithful subject. Is right. Chief Edo Ogiamien was also witnessed by a son called Obaze Edo Ogiamien. This is the original document. Going back to our press briefing. From the letter, you can hear one of the ancestors of these misguided lots pleading to be recognized as a chief of His Royal Majesty, only for his progeny 80 years later to start a status of a traditional institution, which is currently being aided by the state government, until they come out cleanly to state the obvious and bury this matter once and for all. We read a letter of one criminal and ex-convict called Arishko Osemigi, dated 4th of April, 2012. We have the letter here. Yeah, we have the letter here. to the Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice of Edo State, wherefore he referred to himself as both Chief Ogiamien of Benin Kingdom and Utata. And the stated letter surreptitiously didn't agree that Ogiamien is a chieftaincy title as only recognizable by the Benin Traditional Council. Instead, alluded to its independence from the Benin Traditional Council. We are therefore now surprised that with this obvious show of arrogance and falsehood exhibited by Arisco Osemige, that the Attorney General of Edo State conceded to his deception through a letter dated was Osemige made or recognized as a chief, as we are very much aware that Osabo Concord within the state directed that the charges engaged and further recognizes the position of Ogiamien chieftaincy title. We want to state it clearly that it is not within the jurisdiction of Edo State government to recognize any chieftaincy title in Benin Kingdom until it is conferred by the Oba of Benin and ratified by the Benin Traditional Council. In this whole contest, we therefore call on the Edo State government to come out and state it clearly and clearly as it should be, that the Ogiamien chieftaincy title is a title only recognized by the Oba of Benin, and that it is not an independent title, and that it belongs to the class of independent title, and that it belongs to the class of Lower Ozama chiefs in Benin Kingdom called Uzama Nibie. And Ogiamien title ancestral function to the palace of the Oba of Benin was to carve a traditional stool for every new monarch, as they were good wood carvers. Only when these facts are stated clearly to the public shall we believe that the Edo State government is not aiding the criminality of these bad wagons. For the purpose of clarity, let us now look at some aspects of history that have been badly bastardized by these bad wagons for the purpose of the future. Ekyokbaga Treaty. Just a minute, please. This was the treaty between Obayewedo and the Ogiamien of that era. We are all aware that when Ogiamien returned from Ile-Ife as the rightful heir to the throne of his grandfather, Ogiso Owodo, it was met with a strong resistance from the Ogiamien family, having been given the regency rights of about 70 years, that our exiled prince, a Caladeran, of which the Yorubas of that era knew as Oduduwa, spent at Ile-Ife. When Ogiamien returned back to his ancestral home to rightfully sit upon the throne of his ancestors, but because of the greed of Evian and his progeny, they fought earnestly to deny Ogiamien his rightful place. A move that led the Ejon to build a palace at Usama, from where Ogiamien ruled Benin, but not for long. His son Obayeweka I, as well as Obayeweka's first successors, Uwaihwan and Ehemie. Oromiyan's great-grandson, Obayewedo, who later realized that as an Oba, his authority over his people must be absolute and not sectional. And the knowledge of such, it transversed into the heart of Igodomigodo from the peripheral Osama quarter along the present-day Siloko Road, which the Ogiamien family had already colonized. Ladies and gentlemen, let it be known this day that the last four Ogiso's palace was not at Wundun. The quarter Ogiso A moved the palace to after his grandfather built the first known palace at Ugbeku, but rather at Ogbe. The quarter that the seat of the Oba of Benin is till date. Hence, in history, it is called Ogbe Ogiso, which as at today, the present day Oba of Orame Square. When Obayewedo manifestly incubed in his bid to build the palace in the heart of Benin, a battle broke out, which led to Obayewedo mercilessly defeating the Ogiamien and his warriors. It was as a result of the wisdom of diplomacy that informed Obayewedo to graciously have a treaty with the now humbled Ogiamien so as to allow peace reign in his kingdom. The treaty was of mutual benefit, where a portion of the land now being presently occupied by the Ogiamien people for the period that the Kaladeran to establish kingship in Ile-Ife, as well as the years from Oba Oromiyan down to Oba Ehemien ruled at Usama. In totality, this period lasted approximately 157 years. This period was enough for the Evian progeny to lay claim over a land that in the first place wasn't theirs. Ogiamien's jurisdiction was therefore reduced to Utanta, Sokmamba Road, from the beginning at present-day Asoro Street to Ibiyeneva Moat, present-day Third Junction. When these people currently come out to claim Utanta Kingdom, it therefore means that they are referring to the beginning of Sokmamba Road at First Isekula to where Sokmamba terminates at Third Junction, which generally means that Chief Ogiamien is more or less an Ogiamien of Utanta, Sokmamba Road. That's a fact. To further buttress the point that Ogiamien was never much an important figure or a stumbling block in Benin history, Obayewedo created the first known title outside the Idion called Nia Sowa, now abridged as Iyase. And that title was referring to the supremacy tussle between the Oba of Benin and the Idion of the kingdom of which Olia is the head. So from here, you can see that Ogiamien was never in any tussle with the Oba of Benin, other than the treaty of the right to hereditary succession and not ownership of land. To further expatiate on this, Princess Agayubinin, the first child of Oba Semede, who felt she was denied of the throne, later struck a deal with his younger brother, Oba Adolo, to make the title of Osula hereditary. When the title was bestowed upon one of her sons, the same issue played out between Ogiamien and Obayewedo. When Ogiamien realized he has lost his relevance as the Ogiamien of Utanta, he therefore struck a treaty with the Oba to allow him retain the title of Ogiamien as the hereditary title. Hence, the Ogiamien title was traditionally and officially created by Obayewedo, and in later years was added to the Uzama Nibie, a group of lesser Uzama, of which Ogiamien is the fifth in significance by Oba Esigi. The reason Oba Esigi added Ogiamien to this junior Uzama was a move to spite the Olia, because Olia and Ogiamien are sworn enemies dating back to the 12th century. The enmity was as a result of Olia leading other delegates to retrieve Ikaladeran from Ile-Ife and finally placing the Ogiamien family where they rightly belong, as blacksmiths from Enyanugi. Because of that act, Ogiamien himself retaliated by creating his own Olia. The Ogiamiens themselves were opportunists, as the land they occupied in those 157 years belonged to the Ogisos, of which the Obas of Benin are proud extension of. Majority of the Obas didn't observe the Ekyokpaga mock battle because of the insignificance of the practice, which is more or less a ceremonial practice during the coronation phase of the newly crowned Oba of Benin. The generosity of the Oba of Benin influenced his decision in considering the title of Ogiamien as hereditary and also as his chief. That was so because we recognize the services of Evian to his kingdom. Otherwise, apart from the Oshoga myth, it is regrettable that there is no other beneficial service to the kingdom attributable to the Ogiamien succession. The general who subdued Ogiamien was known as Odigie Olomi, the then head of blacksmiths who lived in Ogbe Ibuya. The Oba's army defeated Ogiamien and pushed them to Unweru, where the battle ended, now Asoro Street. Obayewedo was at Ekyokpaga, where Ogiamien finally surrendered to him. Odigie Olomin, for being able to defeat the violent leader, was subsequently conferred with the title of Iyase and was installed as the first Iyase of Benin in about 1255 AD. How then did the vanquished Ogiamien not determine the terms of the treaty? Evidence points out that the treaty was for Obayewedo to mercifully grant him the right to a hereditary succession, so as to remain relevant within the sphere of his family nucleus. To finally put to rest that the Ekyokpaga Treaty is a complete ruse created from the imagination of these unlearned people. If there was a treaty that was signed and the consequence of its violation is death, as the Ogiamiens earlier insinuated, why then did Ogiamien accept the betrothed daughter of Oba Adolo, Princess Igbinake, in the year 1848 AD, knowing fully well a part of the treaty was no intermarriage between both families. We therefore plead for His Royal Majesty, Obaewaye II Ogidigan, as a result of this overwhelming fact, to abolish this Ekiokpaga Treaty, built on deception and lies, and also render the Ogiamien title useless, as in the first instance, it was the one who gave the relevance to that title. Obaga top We therefore plead for His Royal Majesty, Obaewaye II Ogidigan, as a result of these overwhelming facts, to abolish this Ekiokpaga Treaty, built on deception and lies, and also render the Ogiamien title useless, as in the first instance, it was the one who gave relevance to that title. In conclusion, our race was created by God Almighty with every sense of wholesomeness, giving us a king that helped in calibrating our minds into the greatness that was envied by all of the world. Unfortunately, we lost that freedom to self-advancement, courtesy of the British invasion in 1897. The building processes started once again by Obaewaye II after an interregnum of 17 years. Today, we are faced with the tragedy that instead of the Benin to rally once again with their king to build another great future, even greater than what we lost, we are now joining forces with those who in the first place had brought us to our present state. We need to wise up as a race. Let us unite in one purpose, and sooner than later, we can take our rightful place in the polity of the world affair with our king in the center of it. Oba Edo, Edo Oba, Waya Wese. The legacy of our past shall endure forever through us. Oba Gatokberi. Can make photocopies. No, I'm using this one.
If you want to send to your WhatsApp number, you can also provide the number. What is your WhatsApp number? Please, any other question, please?
There's a question. Please ask question. This is false course.
Okay. About
Yes, sir.
I think the message has been adequately delivered. What we indulge members of the press to make it go viral as much as possible. As we have said, we need freedom and not ridiculous, and its history cannot be distorted by any. And we will resist any attempted attempt
Yes,
of
government. Clear.
by anybody or institution to undermine our heritage. As of today, the Queen of England determines what happens in England.
Oh, yes.
And we value, as a matter of fact, we are ready to lay down our lives to ensure that nothing touches our common heritage. We are ready to protect it.
Yes.
So, not just the press conference, it's a warning to anybody
Enemies of it.
that think can create division in the kingdom. We have one home, one father.
Yes.
That is the Oba of Benin and the palace of the Oba of Benin, wherein every one of us can take refuge any day, anytime. So the more we agree with that, the better for all of us. So members of the press and well-meaning Benin people that are seated here in this conference today, we want to appreciate all of you for coming. This is the first step we are taking. Subsequently, we are going to be updating you. We are going to be updating the Benin people, the Benin nation. Other relevant steps we are going to be taking to preserve this our common heritage. Please be at alert, be on guard. When the chiefs are done, you need to know for war. We are warriors, and it has been so. So we still have men and women, like the ones that are here today, who still have that warrior-like spirit in them.
We are warriors.
My mom,
Our war.
my mom, my little
All right, gentlemen.
Sorry.
Let me pay this proud tribute to my president. My name is Dr. Prince Losaka Ehuwe. I'm a direct descendant of Ogiamien, and I major in African history. I back my PhD in African history. Facts are there. And at the present, I lecture African history. I am surprised that things like this are gradually unfolding. We know Benin history very well, even though you did not study history. But for those of us who were reading history those days at the primary level, we acknowledge the fact that history cannot be distorted. Therefore, what we see today is a radical deviation from the original history of Benin. And I want to pay that proud obeisance to the President Amu Osazu God. That nobody cleans his or her anus before going to the toilet. It's a very serious aberration. Where I am Samba, that the state government who's supposed to be part of the Benin Kingdom, and just state government to be precise, led by Mr. Godwin Inoyas Obaseki, to thoroughly look at the ongoing by the Ogiamiens and put them where they belong. Failure to do that, it is an invitation to anarchy. And many of us are prepared to treat that because our father is our father. And I said it earlier. Late Reverend Father Uwafo, in one of his topics, and he said, and I quote, he said, "What I did was done because of my tendencies." Please underline that word and look at the deep structure of that word towards the radicalisms. And I dare say this, that stomach does not make a noise, one day burns and then attracts the passers-by. Therefore, it is necessary that the Ogiamiens should retrace their steps and live where they are supposed to belong. I say this, everybody cannot be royal. But for those that are all royal, so to speak, they share the same blood with those that are not even royal. The difference is that we cannot belong to one family. But in Benin, we are one family. I read Domiya. I will go to Sebubu Mehe. Amaru Rivi Akekebehu. Amaru Ogiamien Badamwa. Therefore, these speak volumes that the Benin is very united. Now, some of us, we pay the proud, like the president said. We pay the proud to go to school. We're not on the mindful of the fact that God is with us. Because when you have God behind you, you will succeed. About 2007, I made reference, a dark start event when I paddled my pen, as it were, and some persons felt embarrassed. And the person said it was time to eliminate me. I was taken to the cleaners amidst loudest ovation. Let us kill him. That was the sing song. And as they would do that, they did it without fear or favor. And about 3-4 journalists were presented with a writ of passage. And yours sincerely was also taken to the cleaners. Today, I'm up standing because God is with me. And God will be with us in Jesus' name. Amen. But having said that, like I said, this is Benin. We cannot betray ourselves when we stand and follow the right positions. I pay this obeisance and I want to salute those who are with us. Continue to be with us. It will be well with you. It will be well with all of us. It will be well with everybody in Benin. For the sake of those who are acting as candidates, they will find it very uncomfortable when the league, the match will start properly. This is not Arsenal or Liverpool, but this is a direct standard. I will demolish whoever is on site that are not prepared to speak. God bless you all.